Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yom Ishpad Paramams Parivirajacharya Stotra Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON founder Acharya, BBT founder Acharya, Jagat Guru, Savior of the whole world, Patit Pavan Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ki Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai Ki Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Harinam Sankirtan Mahayagna Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, text number 59. Iti Veda Vidam Vada Iti Veda idam va yat iti Veda vidam vadaha Shruyate tatra tatraha Shruyate tatra tatraha Karmayat kriyate proktam Karmayat kriyate proktam Paroksham na prakashate Paroksham na prakashate Iti Veda vidam vadaha Iti Veda vidam vadaha Shruyate tatra tatraha Shruyate tatra tatraha Karmayat kriyate proktam Karmayat kriyate proktam Paroksham na prakashate Paroksham na prakashate. Iti, thus, Veda Vidam, of persons who know Vedic conclusions, Vadaha, the thesis, Shruyate, is heard, Tatra Tatra, here and there, Ha, certainly, karma, the activity, yat, what, kriyate, is performed, proktam, as it was said, paroksham, unknown, na prakashate, is not directly manifested. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The expert knowers of Vedic conclusions say that one enjoys or suffers the results of his past activities. But practically it is seen that the body that performed the work in the last birth is already lost. So how is it possible to enjoy or suffer the reactions of that work in a different body? Purport: atheists can want evidence for the resultant actions of past activities. Therefore they ask, where is the proof that I am suffering and enjoying the resultant actions of past karma? They have no idea how the subtle body carries the results of the present body's actions down to the next gross body. The present body may be finished grossly, but the subtle body is not finished. It carries the soul to the next body. Actually, the gross body is dependent on the subtle body. Therefore, the next gross body must suffer and enjoy according to the subtle body. The soul is carried by the subtle body continuously until liberated from gross material bondage. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Akshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Namami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Rupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Please repeat after me. The expert knowers of the Vedic conclusions say that one enjoys or suffers the results of his past activities. But practically it is seen that the body that performed the work in the last birth is already lost. So how is it possible to enjoy or suffer the reactions of that work in a different body? Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yad krupatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So these are some of the questions that the king Prachina Barhi is asking Narada Muni. He is saying, there appears to be some contradictions between your instructions. I now can understand the distinction between devotional service, knowledge and renunciation. I had some doubts about them, but you have now very kindly dissipated all these doubts. I can now understand how even the great sages are bewildered by the real purpose of life. Of course, there is no question of sense gratification. So, the king Prachina Barhi is submitting some questions to Narada Muni. And in the next verse, he is saying the results of whatever a living entity does in this life are enjoyed in the next life. But then in today's verse, he asks the question more directly. He says, the expert knowers of Vedic conclusions say that one enjoys or suffers the results of his past activities. But practically it is seen that the body that performed the work in the last birth is already lost. The body that performed work in the last birth is already lost. So how is it possible to enjoy or suffer the reactions of that work in a different body? In other words, this is a slightly atheistic proposition in the sense that the king is asking the body in which a particular living entity has acted has already been destroyed. It's no longer present, it's been destroyed. So what is this making the karma of one body to be experienced by another body? How fair or how just is that? It looks like one body is which has done the karma, which has done the activities, good, bad, ugly or nasty or whatever. But that actions and reactions of that were performed in a particular body are being experienced in another body altogether, different body. How does that make any sense? This body is gone. Whatever the idea is that Prachina Barhi is proposing that whatever it is, the good or the bad, it should have been experienced in the same body. Now the body is gone. It's like punishing a completely new person for something that was done by some previous body. So it's an atheistic thought in the sense that you don't recognize the existence of either the subtle body or the soul. It is the soul that is a continuum in the existence from one body to another body. But Prabhupada also, the scriptures also explain in great detail, especially when you deal with karma theories in great detail, that it is the Sukshma Sharira which carries the soul to the next body. And the Sukshma Sharira, it takes the sum total of all the karma from one body to another body. Sukshma Sharira carries the soul, also the karma, from one body to another body. So it's almost like saying that, okay, I'm wearing this shirt today. If I change the shirt tomorrow, am I a different person? We're not different persons, obviously. So similarly, I may be having a gross attire similar to the dress that we wear. The subtle body and the soul may have a different dress. It's like, let's say I change the dress. End of the day, I change the dress. So does that make me a different person? No, I'm still the same person. In the same manner, the gross body anyway was meant to be destroyed. It is not that the gross body is eternal. That is never the Vedic proposition that the gross body is eternal. The gross body is born, it undergoes 6 changes. We know that it's born, it grows, it multiplies, it stays like that for some time, it decays and dies. 6 phases of growth of the gross body. The gross body is gone, that is inevitable. But That's not the end. The gross body, the Sukshma Sharira comprising of mind, intelligence, ego, carries the soul and carries the karma. Karma is like whatever we have done in this lifetime kind of gets locked up in a locker, and it comes with us. We take that into the next body. So the karma theory advocates that the subtle body takes the soul and the karma along with it and enters. Now, it is also said that the karma that we do in this present body also determines what kind of body we will get in future. The karma we do in the present body also decides what kind of body we will get in future. So these are ABCD knowledge in Vedic philosophies, ABCD type of knowledge, very elementary. The soul is there, soul is eternal, the body will decay and die. The subtle body and the soul are eternal. Well, we can't say that about the subtle body. But, practically speaking, as long as we have a material existence, there is the subtle body also. So, there is a subtle body, and these are, the subtle body will take the karma, and according to your karma, your new birth is decided. And there are 84 lakh species of life. You can become any one of them. And these 84 lakh spans across the whole spectrum of creation, which means there are the ants, there are the insects, there are the animals, there are plants, there are birds, there are, divine living entities, also called devatas, like that, and human beings. So 84 lakh species are there. You can get into any one of them. And by the way, it's not just that karma that you take when you go into a new body. It is said that even the tendencies, that means even okay, in other words, if we want to analyze our personality, we have certain abilities, certain skills, certain competencies, but we also have certain nature, certain tendencies, certain types of behavior. So that also is carried forward. The tendency, the nature of the living entity, the shall we say the soft qualities of the living entity are also carried forward into the next birth. And definitely, it is said that predominant contribution in deciding what type of birth you will get next life is what you are contemplating more or less around at the time of death. That is a predominant contribution to what type of body you will get. Though it is said in some circles that it's not entirely based on that, but the predominant contribution is what you're contemplating at the time of death. That decides what kind of a body you enter into. So that's how karma theory propagates. I mean, that's how karma theory explains what we see in this material world. So the karma theory, in other words, explains the inequalities, the supposed inequalities in how the living entities live. Somebody is qualified, somebody is competent, somebody is intelligent, somebody is beautiful, somebody is powerful, and somebody is unfortunate, somebody is sick all the time, somebody is like that. So it kind of reconciles all these differences that you see also. It reconciles and explains one summative theory which explains everything, every phenomena that we witness in this material world, every phenomena that we witness in this world. The karma theory explains that. But of course, we devotees, we also know that there is one type of karma called akarma. The akarma, by definition, is that you may seem to be very active, you may seem to be very active, doing all the times, being completely engaged, but it does not have a karma backlash. It does not have a backlash on karma, because we are doing activities for the pleasure of Krishna, as per the instructions of Krishna, as per the guidelines of Krishna, and like that, and for and on behalf of Krishna, like that. So when we are acting on behalf of Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna, as per the orders of Krishna, Guru and Krishna, there is no karma backlash, because when it is properly done, we offer the results of that activity also back to Krishna, and hence there is no karma for you. There is no residue, karma residue that affects you. That's called akarma. And then we also know there is this vikarma. Vikarma means deliberately acting against the Vedic scriptures, which means against the instructions of dharma, piety, truthfulness, etc. Deliberately acting. Hence, such living entities acquire what is known as pap. That's how the concept of pap and punya comes. This is also resonates in the Bible, because in the Bible they say there is this the concept of sin. But the interesting thing is, in the Vedic scriptures, the concept of karma is delineated, or shall we say, explained in great detail. One type of karma, or not type, one category of karma is known as prarabdha karma. Now, before that, maybe I should describe what is known as Sancheti karma. So, Sancheti karma is the sum total of all the karma that you have acquired over all your previous lifetimes. Sancheti karma is the sum total of all the karma that you have acquired over all your previous lifetimes. That's called Sancheti. So, it's there in a locker box with your name, with your name written on it. That's called Sancheti karma. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever you have done, sum total of everything that you have done goes into a box called Sancheti. Out of that, a portion is chosen. And given to you, given to us, to be experienced across one lifetime. To be experienced across one lifetime. That karma that we experience over one lifetime is called prarabdha karma. That karma that we experience over one lifetime is called prarabdha karma. It's picked up from the Sancheti karma. One lifetime. Picked up from that vault, or shall we say box or whatever, and allotted to you to be experienced in this one lifetime. That's called prarabdha karma. Then there's something called agami karma. So agami karma means fresh karma that we are accumulating in this lifetime. That's called agami karma. Flesh karma that we are accumulating in this lifetime. That means there's kind of, you could understand them as seeds. You have done something. At some point of time in the future, it will come back on you. So agami karma also, in one sense, you could say, gets added on to the Sancheti box. But it's called agami. There is the Sancheti, the sum total. There is a prarabdha that you are supposed to experience over one lifetime. This lifetime, agami is fresh karma that you are incurring. And there's also another category of karma called kriyamana karma. Now, what is this kriyamana karma? Kriyamana karma is that karma which gives, that category of karma that more or less gives immediate result. Kriyamana. It doesn't tend to accumulate. It tends to give immediate result. It's like you put your hand in fire, it'll burn. It'll react immediately. But you scold somebody, you insult somebody, or you do something, it may or may not, the result of that you may or may not see immediately. But definitely you will see, but may or may not see immediately. So kriyamana karma is that karma that you incur, the results of which come more or less immediately. Like I just gave you an example. You cut your finger or something, it hurts, it will bleed. And you apply medicine, it's cured. So, kriyamana is, its time duration is not for the karma to fructify and affect you, its time duration is not so much. It tends to act immediately. Kriyamana karma. Now, out of this, the acharyas also say that karma by itself means karma. All the karma that you have accumulated, which is there as Sancheti karma, is not sentient. In other words, it's like an entry You understand it more or less like an entry in a ledger. It's entry, okay, you've done this good, you've done this bad, you've cheated, you've been a nice person, you helped somebody. It's like an entry. On this date, at this time, you did this good, something bad, whatever. It's like an entry. It's not sentient in the sense that karma is just like an entry. It doesn't get up and start acting on its own. Sentient, it's not sentient, means it cannot act on its own. It's there. Shall we say it's there in its dormant state. It cannot act. It just cannot. In other words, karma by itself won't decide or cannot decide what portion of the Sancheti karma will become prarabdha karma for this lifetime. Karma can't decide. It's not sentient. It is just like an entry. It's like an entry into a ledger, into a diary, saying that so and so did this on this day. That's it. So, picking from the Sancheti karma and turning it into prarabdha karma that we have to experience in this lifetime cannot be done by karma alone. There has to be someone who makes it happen. Who makes it happen. And you could say, in one sense, that karma is allotted to a living entity, and the living entity is forced to experience the good or the bad, the punya or the papa. I don't want to go so much into punya papa because we know the definition. Punya means doing things according to the Vedic scriptures, recommended in the Vedic scriptures, and papa means completely opposite to what is mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. So we don't have to speak so much about it. Punya papa we already understand. But because karma cannot act on its own, there has to be somebody who picks it up, allots it. So here it is said that, generally speaking, in the Vedic literatures, it is said that personality who picks up from the Sancheti karma box and then allots prarabdha karma, you could say it is the Supreme Lord Himself. And sometimes it is said that it is Paramatma, in his capacity of Paramatma, the Lord, because Paramatma is technically, the role of Paramatma is defined as Anumanta and Upadrishta. He witnesses what you're doing and he sanctions what you're doing. Not only does he sanction what you're doing, but it is said that in his role as Anumanta, the Supreme Lord Paramatma, in the form of Paramatma, also assigns or allots some karma to be experienced in this lifetime, which is prarabdha karma. It is the role that is played by Paramatma. So, in every living entity's life, whatever we are experiencing is allotted to us by the Supreme Lord, is sanctioned by the Supreme Lord, will activate, or shall we say fructified in our life by the action of the Supreme Lord. Now, this is not to say that whatever that is happening in my life, I can blame the Supreme Lord. You said it's because of him it's happening. No, we cannot do that. Because the concept of karma presupposes the concept, shall we say, concept of karma, the idea of karma, cannot work unless we accept the idea of free will. So there is an amount of free will. No, I cannot say amount of free will. There is free will. There is definitely free will. That means based on what you or I do, we incur pap or punya, or it is considered akarma. It is considered devotional service. So there is free will. Because there is free will, there is accountability. Because there is free will, one is expected to be careful in deciding. In other words, exercise of free will is given to you. The discretion on how you will exercise your free will is given to you, and then it's up to you how you will decide, how you will apply the free will. So that is how you acquire karma, because of a particular way in which you have exercised your free will. So this is the philosophy behind the karma. But the main point is that even karma is administered by the Supreme Lord. In the sense that, we are responsible for it. It is because of our exercise of free will. Whatever I have done. It's like I plant apple seeds, I'll get an apple tree. Plant an orange seeds, I'll get orange tree. Whatever I do. But the fact is that for me to get an apple or an orange, it still requires the sanction of the Lord. So in other words, nothing can happen without the sanction of the Lord. There is the element of sanction of the Lord. Now, how does the Lord exercise this sanction? So here it is said that some of our acharyas have commented that the purpose of karma is entirely reformatory. What I mean by that is, purpose of karma, purpose of kala, purpose of whatever karma we are experiencing is reformatory, means it is intended to correct us. It is intended to make us more cautious, to be careful, to be responsible, to take responsibility for our actions, and do it in a very mature way. See, please understand that it is our actions which result in our karma. And then, okay, there's this whole argument that what about the gross body that is dead? And how does it? So it's carried forward by the subtle body. The Sukshma Sharira, mind, intelligence, ego, carries your karma, carries the soul into the next body. Even that, there doesn't seem to be need for so much argument, because that's exactly what happens. The subtle body carries it to the next body. So the Supreme Lord's Anumanta, sanction is required. But how does the Lord exercise his discretion? How does he exercise? So here it is said that it would be wrong to say that the Supreme Lord is either partial or cruel. The Supreme Lord is neither of the two things. You see, when this matter is philosophically explained, there are arguments. All right, there are questions that are asked. So can we conclude that because we see a lot of suffering that the Lord is cruel? Or shall we conclude that the Lord is partial? Or shall we conclude that Lord is indifferent? And then the acharyas give a reasoning to say that neither Lord is neither cruel, nor indifferent, nor partial. We see that there is a loving feature of the Lord in how the karma is dispensed with, how karma is allotted. Because the Lord is always conscious that the purpose of karma is reformatory, is to change, is to bring about a change, is to bring about a transformation in every living entity's life. So the Lord exercises his discretion to facilitate a transformation. So in other words, we can say that Krishna is not some trigger happy, very vindictive personality. When I say vindictive, I mean it's not that Krishna will remember, oh, you did all this nonsense, so here it is. I'm going to punish you for that. Not quite really. That is not quite really how Krishna looks at it. Krishna will. So it's up to the living entity to. Okay. So there are moderating factors also. It is explained in the Vedic scripture that when karma is brought back on you, there are moderating factors. That means karma can be modified, or shall we say the modifying factors that affect that influence how much of that karma you are going to experience, how much of the karma you are going to influence. There are modifying factors. And what are these modifying factors? The scriptures say austerity by itself, some kind of spiritually recommended austerity can modify your karma to some degree. Repentance, regretting repentance, genuine sincere repentance and regretting for your wrongful actions can modify the karma to some extent. And atonement can modify the karma to some extent. Prayaschitta, atonement. Atonement means doing some corrective action, some prayaschitta, some tapasya can also modify your karma to some extent. But the biggest factor is devotion. The biggest factor is devotion. That element of devotion can modify one's karma to a large extent. It is said that so much so that Devotion can modify karma to the extent that it can be wiped out. It can even be wiped out. Devotion. While the rest can modify karma to some degree based on what you have done. The fact is that when there is devotion, intense devotion, it can modify karma to the extent that it can be erased. So the acharyas then go on to, I just didn't get the time to pick up the names. The acharyas then go on to the Vishnu Sahasranama. I'm just saying this is one way of supporting that proposition that the Lord will, bhakti can modify the karma to the extent that it can be erased completely. It can be erased completely. Then they quote, I just didn't have the time to pick up those names. The Vishnu Sahasranama has a lot of these names of the Lord which signify that the Lord will very mercifully, very kindly erase one's karma. Erase, completely change one's karma. When he sees devotion in the living entity. When he sees bhakti. Of course, bhakti also includes all of this. Regretting, a little bit, regretting, repentance, atonement, doing some prayaschitta, and prayer. And prayer. So when all of this come together, then the Lord may feel inclined to erase one's karma altogether. So when one's karma is erased, then we could technically say that living entity has achieved one level of liberation when that karma is erased. Hence, this statement that man is the maker of his own destiny is one sense very accurate. Of course, it also involves the Lord's consent, Anumanta, the Lord's consent to erase your karma. But the fact is, if you are doing some of these things, then the Lord feels inclined to erase one's karma. Lord feels inclined. Because the key point is this, the purpose of karma is to reform. If the reformation is already seen and happening, then the karma becomes superfluous. Karma becomes, shall we say, purposeless, because the purpose of karma was anyway to reform you. You have completely reformed. You become a nice devotee. You become accountable. You become mature. You become very responsible, and you act for the pleasure of Krishna, on behalf of Krishna, as per Guru and Krishna's direction. So you have achieved that end result that you are meant to achieve in a human form of life. You have already achieved. So it is said that at that point of time, karma becomes unimportant, or shall we say superfluous. Superfluous means karma doesn't serve any purpose of reforming you because you have already reformed. That's when we can say the living entity becomes liberated. So that is what we say. Bhakti can erase one's karma, and otherwise, no, it's not that even, let's say, even after you become a very, very nice devotee, fully qualified, a very pure devotee, it's not that you have to stay on in this material world till all your karma is exhausted. So all the karma accumulated in your Sanchita box is exhausted. No, it's not. That's not how it works. The Lord may exercise his discretion and then wipe out the karma altogether. Wipe out karma altogether. And that is the, shall we say, one of the goals of bhakti. That is one of the goals. But it cannot be taken as the supreme goal of bhakti. Supreme goal of bhakti is not that I want all my karma to be wiped out, hence I want to be happy. No, it's not quite like that. Nobody thinks like that. No devotee thinks like that. No devotee contemplates like that. He's not thinking that all my karma be wiped out and then I'll be liberated and then I'll enjoy whatever. No devotee thinks like that. Actually, devotee thinks in a very different way. Yadbhavyan tadbhavatu bhagavan purva karmanu rupam. Devotee thinks in a very different way. Devotee thinks that somehow or other, please tolerate me at your lotus feet. Continue to give me service. Engage me in your service. Let me continue to do your service. Be merciful. I'm not qualified. I'm not so good at doing anything. But it's just your causeless mercy and your large-heartedness that you're allowing me, you're tolerating me. continue to please exercise that, give me that benefit of doubt and continue to engage me. Honestly, the devotee says, I don't so much care about this karma. Let it come as it is destined to come. I'm not here to change my karma either. Let it come as it is destined to come. But if there's anything I can ask from you, it is that you kindly please continue to tolerate me, engage me, and engage me fully and completely and selflessly. I'm not so worried about what I may have to suffer for my previous actions. Whatever are my previous actions, I am ready to take responsibility. I will take responsibility. I will suffer or endure them. I don't want to disturb you with this application saying, please, can you change my karma? I don't want to. Just let that be as it is destined to be. But will you kindly accept me? This is how a devotee thinks. Devotee is always thinking, why even bother Krishna and petition him to change my karma? If I were to petition the Lord, I will petition him to say that, please kindly be merciful and engage me. I will petition the Vaishnavas saying that, kindly tolerate me, guide me, protect me, and bless me, so that I'll always be engaged in pure devotional service. Come what may, in terms of my karma. So a devotee thinks like that. A pure devotee, a very, what shall we say? A very sweet devotee, very worshipable devotee, a devotee who's worthy of being worshipped, thinks like that. He says, just keep me in your devotional service. Just keep me engaged. Left to myself, I may mess up my life. So please always keep me under your care, under your watch, under your shelter. Please engage me in that manner. So this is how a devotee prays. Devotee will say, devotee may not even ask that please remove my karma, wipe out my karma, reduce my karma. He may not even ask that. The only one and the only prayer that he asks always is, please continue to engage me. Please keep me busy. Please keep me always engaged in your service selflessly. Please be merciful enough to accept my service. But quite independent of what the devotee prays for, Krishna is inclined to change the living entity's karma. At the moment, in fact, in the Nectar of Devotion, it is said that, what is that first benefit of, what is the Sanskrit word? Kleshagni. The first benefit of even preliminary entry-level devotional service is Kleshagni, which means whatever we are meant to suffer as per our previously incurred karma, the Lord may mercifully remove. Lord may mercifully remove. Because like I said, the purpose of karma is reformatory, and when the process of reformation has already begun, the Lord looks at one's karma in a different way. So, by extension of this proposition, it means that someone who is not connected with Krishna, his life will go on exactly as per his karma, more or less as per his karma. Because there is no Krishna factor in his life. There is no, the Krishna's mercy, Krishna's compassion, Krishna's power to modify your karma is not being exercised. Because neither you have come to Krishna, nor you have appealed, nor have you started bhakti. You're just on your own. That's why people say, sometimes you hear people say, oh, whatever has to happen will happen. So why bother, or something like that. In one sense, we can say it's true for those who have no Krishna in their life. Who have no Krishna in their life, it will happen as per their karma. But when Krishna is involved, it has nothing to do with karma. It has nothing to do with karma. It has nothing to do with anything of your previous life. Krishna can change everything. But in our acharyas of our line emphasize more on, not so much on the karma part, because it is said that it is the modification of karma is categorized as a secondary benefit, not even the primary benefit. Our acharyas are glorious. It's considered as a secondary benefit. Oh, by the way, that will also happen. That's how they look at it. The primary benefit is you'll develop a taste for association of devotees and bhakti, and you'll progress in the 9 stages of devotion. So everybody, that is where the focus is. Progress in the 9 stages of devotion, starting from Shraddha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti Syat, etc. So that is where the focus is. By the way, this will be accomplished. So, you see that the devotees don't care so much about their material situation, what kind of situation they are in. Haridas Thakura used to live in a small hut. When the Lord appeared as Lord Chaitanya, he also lived in a very small, very modest environment. He never stayed in a palace or a big bungalow or something. He came in a different mood, as different from how Krishna appeared. Lord Chaitanya appeared as a devotee to show that, opulence or power or authority should not be the goals of a devotee. Should not be the goal of a devotee. Association of the devotees, chanting along with them, doing seva along with them, visiting holy places, serving one another, serving the Vaishnavas. So these should be the aspirations and goals, and not material progress. Because when the Lord came as Lord Chaitanya, he didn't seem to care at all what were his material, physical standards of life. These days this phrase is used so often, standard of living. So it said that Lord Chaitanya had another kaupina, and then that's about it, and he had a water pot and chanting beads. He is the Supreme Lord who he owns and presides over the entire creation. But when he took the role of a devotee, he showed by personal example that we should not misuse the benefits of bhakti, or shall we say, divert the benefits of bhakti into improving our material situation. We should not. Because that could be a trap. That could be a distraction. So much so that all his followers also imbibed that spirit. Raghunath Das Goswami was such a wealthy person, but he came and settled down in Puri Jagannath like a penniless mendicant, picking grains from the floor and picking grains from the drain and honoring them. And Lord Chaitanya comes and steals a little bit from his hand and says, "You're having nectar." So, this is being said with a purpose, that at no point of time we should allow our mind to be distracted, or shall we say attracted, by trying to improve, or meditating or wanting to improve one's material condition. Krishna is not impressed by that. Krishna is not attracted by that either. Krishna sees what's going on in your heart. How much of your heart you have given me. What kind of a place I have in your heart. And what are your aspirations? What is your shopping list? Krishna sees all of that. So we are followers of Lord Chaitanya. We understand the karma theory, because sometimes it's very important for us so that we can explain this. But no, we will not trade with our bhakti. We will not trade with the Lord based on our bhakti. We don't do bartering. I'm doing so much bhakti, how about changing my karma? We don't do that at all. We don't even whisper about our karma to the Lord. If we can, we don't. We try not to whisper also to the Lord about our karma. The only thing we aspire for is transcending. That's the right word. The only thing we want is, I just want to transcend. Transcend means go above. All these kind of material considerations, my material situation, my opulence, my family, my this, my that, my power, my authority. I want to completely transcend. I don't want to exist on that plane. Just don't want to exist on that plane. If you kindly permit me, Krishna, keep me on a plane where I can think of myself as being the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Not even directly a servant of Krishna. So you can imagine how far away it is from this whole concept of wanting to modify one's karma and change one's karma, improve one's material situation. This understanding about Sancheti, prarabdha, agami, kriyamana karma is only to understand that how complete and perfect our Vedic scriptures are in understanding the complexities of karma and explaining to us phases of karma, and then how Krishna in his role as Hanuman. That's about it. But it's not so that, okay, now I know how to neutralize this karma, so let me go after it, or something like that. Not quite like that. But it's just to show the merciful nature of the Lord. Even though you may have so much bad karma, the Lord is still willing to ignore that, not look at it, and hold your hand and take you forward in bhakti. Or for that matter, let's say for some time you want to enjoy some opulence, maybe the Lord will even exercise his discretion and say, all right, try that for some time. I know you'll come back to me after you're frustrated. Maybe the Lord will do that. But a devotee should not pray for such deviations. Should not even hanker. Because our parampara is rich with examples of exclusive devotion to Krishna and ignoring, transcending the material platform of comparison, puja, labha, pratishta, karma-free life, happy life, etc. Completely transcending. That is what makes our philosophy a very glorious philosophy, because somewhere along the line, other philosophies get lost when it comes to the karma part, and very often they try and sell bhakti, or I won't call that bhakti. They try and sell some sadhana so that you can trade off bhakti, or shall we say sadhana, against the burden of your karma. Okay, you do Godan, this will go away. You do this dan, that will go away. You do Annadan, this will go away. Like that. They trade off. They explain to you that chart, shall we say chart of trading off. But no, a devotee is not attracted by that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare. Thank you very much. Any questions? One or two questions or comments? Yes. No, this. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Prabhuji, it's really a wonderful class. I know only the word karma. In this class, I came to know like categories of karma, like Sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, agamika karma, and kriyamana karma.
Can you hold the mic closer?
Prabhuji, based on what Lord chooses from Sanchita karma and gives that soul, that prarabdha karma to experience.
Prarabdha.
So, based on what Lord chooses.
Pardon, based on what? Okay. See, but I just want to add a footnote to prarabdha karma. It is said that among all the karmas, prarabdha is little difficult to modify, because you're already there. You're kind of in that body, and you're destined to experience. It's like and it's kind of meant to last a lifetime. Prarabdha means I'm born body of a male. I'm Varada Krishna Das. I can't change that halfway through my life. It's considered difficult to change, or shall we say, you can't change prarabdha karma entirely. Okay, so hence, now it is said that the choice of karma that we are allotted to us is based predominantly on what is our contemplation at the time of death. I'm just saying officially what is explained in the scripture. At the time of death, whatever is our contemplation, that becomes one predominating factor to decide what kind of prarabdha karma we will experience in our coming life. Hence it is said that we should be very careful on what we contemplate in our mind. What we contemplate in our mind, generally we are so confident that nobody can find out that what we are thinking about somebody else in our mind or whatever it is. But the point is it has a deep influence, because we can't suddenly change our contemplation at the time of death. It doesn't happen like that. So it's kind of a continuum. Whatever you're contemplating the rest of your life will also be more or less what you contemplate at the time of death. So that is a predominating factor that decides what type of karma we will experience. So I'll experience, given that I'm born in this family, in this life, in this body, with this capacity, with these competences, karma suitable to that will be given to me, prarabdha karma. Again, like I said, the Lord ultimately sanctions, but within the prarabdha karma, a lot of it probably can be changed, in the sense that you might be destined to a very miserable life. Then Krishna may intervene and say, I don't see that being necessary. This person is changing, is reforming. So to answer your question, it is one primary factor is what we are contemplating at the time of death. That determines what kind of body we get in this lifetime.
Thank you.
Having said that, we should never forget that the purpose of karma is reformatory. Primarily, karma purpose is reformatory, to change, to transform, etc. Any other question? Good question. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की, श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रमाई की, श्री श्री गौर निताय की।